Hi. How's it going? It's been a day so far. Happy full moon in Cancer. Happy birthday to my cousin Chantel if she watches these. I don't know. Happy birthday to someone who's very special to me, but I will keep his name anonymous just to respect his privacy. But here's the deal. It's been an interesting day so far, and I'm going to give you some real life examples as to how this is all showing up. This is the astrology of the moon. This is the moon of the clear path. But to get to that clear path, we got to work through some of our emotional stuff. And what's so fascinating, I feel, is we're going to realize where we are settling, begrudgingly shoving stuff down because it's okay, but it's not really what we want. Anyways, I will get to that. I want to preface, I'm not a traditional astrologer. I am not someone who is classically trained. There are many amazing astrologers out there. So if that's what you're looking for sure, this may not be the video for you. When I look at a chart, the chart speaks to me. I'm a psychic intuitive. Where a traditional astrologist might be able to take you through different aspects of the alchemy of a chart, I just see the alchemy. I see the end result of all these different energies coming together. And I use specific points that stand out to me so I can share those with you a little bit. But just take whatever message or energy or whatever you need from this, and let go of the rest, because there's really no perfectionism here. A big part of my growth that I've been through with the nodal change and this last new moon in Capricorn and just so much shifting is showing up in my imperfection. And that's part of it, is I'm not, it's one of my insecurities around putting this stuff out there, but someone might need it. Someone might need to hear what I have to say today, and that's good enough. Okay. So let's get into this. The contents. We are going to look at the full moon theme. And this, I know that moons cycle for 6 months. I like to look at a 2-week frame of time. So spirit, the universe, my guides, my higher self, whomever I speak to for the highest light and resonance of all involved, they share with me what we need to know about the 2 weeks. Okay. And however it's going to set us up for the future. I'm going to look at the Sun and Mars position, the Vertex, the Lot of Fortune, the Lot of Spirit, and the Lot of Eros. Okay. As the muddying emotional waters dissolve, a clear path reveals itself. Sometimes we need to actually exercise our emotions to have clarity. And for those people who are not an emotional authority, it might be a little bit, you might want to try and figure out where the emotions are coming from, because you might pick up emotions from a lot of other people that aren't necessarily yours. It might get a little muddying for you. The way that I look at this is, let's say there's a message for you at the bottom of a swimming pool and it's filled with water. It's extremely hard to read that note at the bottom of the pool when there's all that water distorting it. And the water is representative of the emotion that we're carrying. It muddies our thoughts and our perception and our ability to see clearly sometimes. But if you drain the pool, you allow the energies to move out, you allow the water to move out, you'll have greater access to that message and it'll be much more clear. So let yourself be emotional. I legit just had a meltdown just before I got on camera. My dad comes in my room and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, I'm mad. No one's to blame. I just need, it's very interesting. And I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to the lots, because the lots are here to help us shift out of that. Themes: embracing emotional vulnerability, expressing emotionally or otherwise. Expression is so important. Vocal attunement, speaking beyond yourself. It's such a catalytic energy to help release. The full moons are great for release. I don't know where this is coming from. See, these are like, boop. If some of you are thinking of trimming or cutting your hair, it's a great time to do that. I know the new moon is generally, but there's something about, because our hair carries energy from the past, right? There's something with that. So if you've been thinking about it, have at her. Expansion of emotional awareness, being aware of your emotions and what they're trying to tell you about your experience, about yourself, seeing where we give our power away to a false sense of safety. So this is a little bit of the Cancerian energy and creating strong elements of safety for ourselves. Sometimes we acquiesce to certain things in our life that are actually not good for us because it's all we've ever known. So we think it's secure and safe because we know about it. Like it's the devil you know. Okay. It's the devil you know versus the devil you don't, but it's a false sense of security because it's constantly keeping you in a state of feeling unsafe because whatever it is doesn't serve you anymore. So there's going to be a lot of revelations and there's going to be a lot of exploration through being like, why am I so emotional? Because it's time for change, and change is hard, especially when we're seeking safety and feeling insecure. Okay, so let's look at I'm looking down, my laptop's in front of me in case you're wondering where I'm looking. The full moon in Cancer it's pretty close to Mars. I put them together because the energy was just coming together, both in the 12th house. I think it's interesting that it's in alignment with where, like, the 12th house is naturally a Pisces house, and the 6th house, where the sun is naturally a Virgo house. So they're lined up a little bit with the nodal change that just happened. So there's going to be just an extra element of that watery, emotional energy. And Mars in Cancer sometimes is very emotional. I don't know why it always feels very slow. And sometimes when things are slow or impeded or delayed, we have emotional reactions to it, but the emotional reactions are so important. Anyways, okay. Vocal attunement and expansion. Expression, emotional or otherwise, is so important. Let yourself talk. Even if you don't have anyone to talk to yourself. Talk out loud. There's something that's really powerful that happens when we not only hear what we're saying out loud, but there's an energy that comes through our vocal cords that creates some kind of resonance in our body as to what is true, what is not true. Sometimes you got to say those intrusive thoughts out loud to recognize whether they're actually true or if they were somebody else's truth that you took on. Truth is going to be so important at this time. And personal truth. I know there's a lot of people that are like, there's only one truth. That is not the multi-dimensional reality I would live in. Like, it just isn't. And if you do, that's okay. It's just how I feel. Seeking enriching conversations. So do your best to observe when you're trying to distract yourself from emotion and why. So if you're with people that you're with because you don't want to be lonely, and there's no judgment in that. There's just awareness for you, okay? If you're not able to have those deep conversations, pay attention to where you're distracting yourself from the emotional experience of either not being in alignment with people, or even there's a lot of emotional projection that people are unaware of right now. Pay attention to that a little bit because it's going to tell you more. But we tend to distract ourselves with our phones if we can't have enriching, especially if you've gone through any kind of growth or healing. It's hard to have like conversations about the weather, or it's just, you can't have those, like, I don't know, conversations that just, or whatever. I don't know. I know there's a specific term. I can't think of it right now. The energy of nothing works anymore. Nothing works anymore. Nothing, however you've ever gone about, it just doesn't work anymore. And if that's you, that's a sign that it's time to change, that there's change afoot. The form of things breaking apart, remembering how it was and trying to do it that way again, but it doesn't feel the same or go the same. So, you know, like, let's say like, oh, let's just go out and have drinks and snacks with my besties, but you're all at different vibrational frequencies in different stages of your life and you don't have anything really in common anymore. So you might have the idea that it's going to be the same, but it doesn't feel the same when you go, because the most important components, which is the consciousness and the awareness, the perception that you all have, has changed. how you see the world, how you feel the world, and how you sense the world may have changed. So trying to go about things the way you've always gone about them, if it's not working, it's time to feel into new ways of doing that. There's a detachment of the ego and its attachment to the false sense of security. Like the way I did this exercise a couple days ago. I feel like the days are just blending. So anyways, you would have, I'm like, it's like, oh my God, they're going to know it wasn't 2 days ago. It was 3. Nobody's going to know that. But here I am prefacing for you anyways. So I did this exercise where you kind of pull the golden thread of fear. And I constantly, like, what am I afraid of? Putting myself on the camera if I don't look perfect, or if I've gained weight, or anyway, so I just pulled the thread. Why am I afraid to take up space? Why am I afraid to ask for what I need? Why am I afraid to be seen? Okay, just pulled the thread and pulled the thread. And I realized that all these fears, like, came from all of these beliefs that I had created or took on based on the experiences I had, when I was younger. And I didn't want to have those experiences again. So I was constantly mitigating, right? I was constantly like trying to find a false sense of security, even though it was very painful to keep myself small. I was sacrificing my well-being, thinking that it was keeping me safe, but there's nothing to actually fear, but the fear feels so real. It needed to be acknowledged, validated, seen, and then pulled apart. Okay. Shedding any fear of an emotional experience. So what the fear is from, and perhaps where there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to emotional vulnerability. Emotional vulnerability, there's this idea of weakness, right? That we are kind of afraid of appearing weak, or exposing the soft underbelly of our experience as if we're going to be attacked for it or what have you. But when you start to recognize that so much of what everybody does is about them, even though it may be in their minds they think it's about you, or the projection or the energy feels like it's about you, it's not. And so we can't keep sacrificing our own health and well-being, keeping our emotions in out of fear of how other people will react to them, because it doesn't keep us safe. It actually keeps us unwell, physically, emotionally, mentally. We have all these beliefs about anger, about sadness, about feeling, as if it means anything except that you're feeling that thing in the moment. Okay, there's a huge breakdown with this full moon. I feel that's going to be really powerful for people, because it's the 12th house. And this is why I think this is so funny. 12th house energy, okay, you don't really see it coming until it's in your face. So you're going to have these random emotional reactions, and your only job is to roll with it. And don't take on anyone else's perception of it or reaction to it. Pay attention to your own reaction to it, and give yourself the love and nurturing and whatever you think you needed in whatever it is you're experiencing, okay? Like today, I was all set to do this. A whole bunch of stuff happened. I'm angry. Huge burst of anger out of nowhere. I can laugh about it right now because I let myself feel the emotion and it's gone. It doesn't stay with me. I don't hold on to it. It just is. But there's really, anyways. So the thing is, anybody with 12th house placement, like I have a 12th house Leo stellium, and people don't realize certain things about me until I'm in their face. And then they're like, oh, I see it now. But it has to be up close. So these emotional outbursts, especially with Mars being there too, they're going to be intense. They're going to come out of nowhere, but it's not because you did anything wrong. It's not because something is wrong. It's because something is right and the energy is ready to move. So feel into that, okay? Obviously, you don't want to go around hurting people. Some people, depending on how they react to you, might feel hurt. But if you're not intentionally hurting, don't worry about it. We could get into that. I don't have time to do that in this video, to break down intentional harm or malicious intent. Like, it's generally emotional outbursts have nothing to do with that. And if we condemn ourselves for that and hold on to it, we're just holding on to the emotion. And that's not okay either. You can reconcile. Everything is recoverable from that. Coexistence. This was a really interesting energy because with the moon being in the 12th house and the sun being in the 6th house, we have night and day. We have what's in the 6th house, we have the exposure of the daily physical elemental, and then we have the hidden house of the 12th, right? But they coexist always. Even if you're just focused on the daily whatever, the hidden and unseen still exist, right? There's a coexistence here. Differences existing together at the same time. It's not about bringing them together as one and merging. It's actually about accepting that they exist as extremes on a spectrum. So we are so used to picking one side or the other that we struggle with the discernment. That we struggle with discernment. So pay attention to where you're trying to leverage one side or the other, right or wrong, good or bad, black or white, okay? And realize they all exist together. And the moment you can do that and detach, you can have discernment for what's happening. There's no personal tie or personal reaction to that experience, okay? All right. Okay. Now we're going to get into the vertex. I like to talk about the vertex because I've been shown that this shows in the moment kind of where we can lean into our most destined moments, the things that we can do and participate in and lean into in order to at least feel like we're always going to meet our destiny. But I think there's an awareness of it that I feel it gives us the fuel we need to keep going. So I kind of like talking about it. I am going to do an extended for this. I haven't quite decided where I'm going to go with this, but by the time this is posted, it will show you in the description below what I'm either going to look at your sun, moon, and rising and how it's going to how it's interacting with this moon, or I'm going to look at your houses where the moon is transiting your houses, okay? But it'll be in the description box what I'm going to do for an extended. I haven't leaned into that yet. I'm like, do I want to do this much work? I'm not sure yet. So I kind of have to map it out and see how much work it actually is, and then I'll decide. But by the time this is posted, which is actually the day after, I'm going to be posting this on the 14th. So, or maybe I'll post it later today. We'll see. Later today on the 13th, because I just said happy birthday to my cousin and my special person. But anyways, this is like, what is a day? What is time? What is a date anyways, right? Okay. So Sagittarius, Vertex, 14 degrees, 5th house. This to me is our presence, our auric field. Seeking our own rhythm. So this is the energy that forces people to think for themselves. Being bombarded with so much external drama that you realize you need to go about engaging in and with the world differently. Because it gets overwhelming sometimes, trying to take up everybody's narrative, trying to support everybody, trying to follow whatever belief systems are out there. It gets overwhelming. And Sagittarius energy is like, peace out, this ain't for me, right? Like, I'm going to move on to something better. It just is what it is. And so if you have Sagittarius placements, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sagittarius placements, sorry. So if things get overwhelming, peace out. This ain't for me. That's it. That's it. Okay. Thinking for yourself means sometimes doing what other people aren't. Thinking for yourself is coming up with your own conclusions to things, even if they don't line up with the majority of people. So there's a few, so finding your own rhythm in this world, regardless of the flow of events, will help you meet your most destined moments right now. Find your own rhythm. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. And I think that, interestingly enough, that feels very trendy, even though that seems like a conflict because you're kind of moving out of trend. It feels very trendy. So my questions for you in regard to this vertex, so you can kind of put some contemplative thought into it. How do you show up now And how do you engage with people, social media, and your immediate environment? What do you take on? How does that affect you? How do you engage? Can you think for yourself in these moments? Can you follow your own path? There's no judgment if you can or can't. It's just, you don't even have to answer to anyone but yourself. You just get to kind of sit with this and process. Do you have a pattern of getting caught up in the pain and drama of the world? How does this leave you feeling in your body, in your emotions, and is it worth it? Because sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not. Like I witness people looking at the news or these Google News feeds that show some horrific thing happening, like in a completely other country that doesn't have anything to do with them. And they're so affected by it, but there's one, nothing they actually want to do about it. And two, nothing they can do about it in some cases. So they're just experiencing all this pain in their body and it's lowering their whole vibe. Why? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? That's, same with a lot of, I think that's why there's so many murder documentaries and murder podcasts that are so popular right now. Because drowning yourself in somebody else's pain is a great way to avoid the pain in your own life. But it doesn't actually solve anything. It just amplifies the pain you have. And I don't judge that. I mean, I've done that too. That's probably how I know. But, okay. Do you find you get caught up in collective mentalities and narratives, or can you discern your truth from what everybody else is saying? There might be part of you that wants to defend your truth, that wants to dominate with your truth because you do have a little bit of discernment. Okay. Feel into that. That's how we're going to meet ourselves at our highest alignment at this time. Okay. Now we're going to get into the lots. The lot of fortune and the lot of spirit are both at 27 degrees in Capricorn. Okay. The lot of fortune are the things that happen for us. The lot of spirit is how we co-create. So the way that I'm going to talk about this is I'm going to talk about the experiences that you're going to have, and with a lot of fortune, the experiences that are going to come into your life that are happening for you, that are going to help you. And the lot of spirit is giving you the opportunity to meet that halfway, or whatever that looks like, to lean in and do your share of co-creation of this change and shift. So the first one is you're going to have experiences that provide clarity for you. Sometimes it's an aha moment. Sometimes it's something very difficult and uncomfortable. And you have to take a look at it and be like, do I want to keep doing this? If you are feeling confused about things, there's likely an old belief you're carrying that's attached to a fear that's muddling the energy. So face the belief and the fear. I'm going to give you a little bit of an example of how this showed up for me today. I have everything in my bedroom. Okay, I have everything in my bedroom. It's a small space for an adult, but it is what it is. I'm grateful for it, yada, yada, yada. I say that because it's like there's a whole other spiritual belief system that comes from gratitude that needs to shift, but that's another video for another time. I have like a recliner in the corner and I've got this makeshift desk, but it's too small and it's rickety. And today I was moving things over onto my big desk where I normally do my readings. I try to keep that desk clear of energy. And I lifted my laptop, everything fell over, my cup of tea, everything was in the corner, and I had a meltdown. I don't actually like sitting in that corner and doing the work, but it was the only place I could do it, so I kept doing it. But the lot of fortune brought me an opportunity to be like, do I want to keep doing this? It's a mess over there now. I have to clean it all out. I have to figure it out. I have to change things now, and I'm going to do that. The lot of spirit I'm going to find it very pleasing to move things and go about it a different way. I don't know how that's going to look or how that's going to shift or change. I don't know yet. Because I can only put things in so many spaces, but it made me deal with the fact that I don't like working in that corner, but I was forcing myself to do it because that's the only option I had. Uncomfortable, but I'm grateful for the awareness. So now I can do something about it. So the Lot of Fortune energy is going to bring you things. It's going to bring awareness to you, and the Lot of Spirit is going to help you do something about it. Okay. So allowing room to do things differently in order to take a new path. Okay. Walk toward destiny. For some, there may even be a change in how you go about healing. I can't read my own writing sometimes. Okay. So if you're used to, for example, if you're used to being like, oh, I have a trigger, I need to get deep down into this trigger, that might not feel good anymore. It might bring more frustration. It might bring more confusion. And if that's the case, it's time to go about your healing in a different way. You might have to play with modalities. You might have to play with experiences. So much of the energy that we're experiencing moves out so quickly now that you might not have to dig down and go deep. However you go about things, if it's not working anymore, the Lot of Fortune is going to bring you experiences to show you that. The Lot of Spirit is going to help you find a new path and how you go about things. Okay. It's almost kind of like if you ever, I don't know if you guys know about the rays, like the ray energy. The indigo rays are very traditionally, like we have to open up an energy field this way. We have to do that. We have to very constructed, but times and energy has changed and we don't need to do that anymore. So if you're somebody that goes about things in a very constructed way, but that's not working anymore, it might be time to evolve and expand into something that might be uncomfortable because you have beliefs about what that means. But the beliefs aren't serving you anymore and the energy has changed. So it's okay to change your beliefs about it. Okay. So this energy will sometimes feel like you're living in an old reality to remember why you left it in the first place, reflecting parts of you that may long for the past. So if you're having experiences that make you feel like you're living your old life, there could be parts of you, of your subconscious, that need to come to light, because there could be part of you that's longing for that time period, even though, because at that time, let's say 10 years ago, you would not have been aware, 10 years, 20 years ago, whatever time period you want to use, you would not have been aware of the pain you were in. So you were just sick, tired, strong enough to push through without any awareness of what was actually breaking down inside of you. So you might have experiences that remind you of that time with the awareness you have now, so you can realize that things weren't actually great back then, but the awareness has shifted. So it's kind of just allowing you to reconcile the parts of you that, because things might feel very difficult emotionally right now, that want to go back to the old time. And you might have experiences that help you gain awareness of that, and then you can do something about it. Okay. Now the balance in this, because there's always a balance to these lots. We have coming back to center, remembering who you are regardless of what you're experiencing, because you're the center of the universe. It doesn't matter about my room or my things. I matter. My energy matters. My feelings matter. Right? Me. I know that sounds selfish, but we got to get a little selfish in order to expand sometimes and step away from the things that don't matter as much. Observing anywhere you're being oppressed by old mental conditioning. So your beliefs, what are your beliefs telling you about you? And is that in alignment with what you truly know about yourself? Because if it's not in alignment, it's not a belief you have to carry. It doesn't support your trajectory through life. Remembering your competence and capability so you don't get hijacked by other thoughts or ideas or energies that oppose the truth of what you know about yourself. Okay. I say K a lot. K. Yeah, you're picking up what I'm putting down anyways, right? So remembering that you are competent and you are capable. It doesn't matter what anybody says. You know what you've been through. You know what you've handled. So paying attention, though, to either people outside of you saying stuff to you or your inner thoughts saying stuff to you, saying, you're this or you're that, or if that opposes who you know to be true about what you know to be true about yourself, then it has to go. It has no place in your life. Oh, that was interesting. Hello. Okay. Last but not least, we have the lot of Eros. This is what is going to be pleasing to our soul at this time. And when our soul is pleased, it's like a soothing balm to our reality. That's how I feel about it. So the power of connection at this time. And it's so funny because so much of the underlying and undertone of this full moon is very deep and heavy. But the lot of Eros wants us to lighten our load. It wants us to seek out like-minded experiences, like-minded energy or experiences with like-minded people. That's fun and free of the constraints of fear. So if you have people in your life that are balls to the wall, don't give a shit about stuff, just live life as it is and enjoy the moment, spend time with them during the next 2 weeks, because they are going to emulate the energy of what it is you need at this time. Okay. Lighter, laughter, genuine wit. I'm talking about Gemini energy here. Okay. There's a Gemini overtone to this lot of Eros. Okay. People who see you and hear you and appreciate you. They're your people right now. They are going to validate you, even if they don't do it directly. You're going to feel it and sense it. People who recognize your talents and gifts, a space to be ourselves. Even though I feel where Sagittarius is like, Sagittarius does want to be liked and maybe seen as a hero, and Gemini, because they're opposite signs, Gemini is probably willing to be a little bit more versatile to be liked, but there's also a space that they have to give themselves in order to be multifaceted. They give themselves permission to be exactly who they are, and I think that's kind of what we can lean into in it. And if you have like this dull party going on, send a Gemini in. just send a Gemini in. It'll lighten the mood instantly. Okay, they're people. Okay, a desire for change and willing to have an adventure to get there. Willing to have an adventure to figure it out. Multifaceted approach to things. You're gonna need a little bit of variety at this time, an ability to just do it, boundlessness, and taking a chance. Really wanting to shake free of the shackles of the fear of consequence and just doing it. Half the stuff you want to do isn't even going to harm anybody. But we're so afraid of the backlash and the fear of what other people think or the consequences of opinion that we don't let ourselves just live into life and enjoy life. Okay. Now the balance to all of this, we've got, remember that everyone has a role to play. Okay. Everybody has a role. So if there's judgment about behavior, about choices, you're probably judging yourself too. Okay. Pay attention to that, because that's limiting your capacity to expand. You're taking old judgments from other people and experiences and trying to model your new life with it. And that's just not going to work. But everybody's got a role to play. So detach from any judgment and being like, you do you, right? Karma can balance in all kinds of ways. And sometimes having good, happy experiences is also balancing karma. It's not just the tower moment and the lessons that, punish people to wake them up. That's old world BS. And we're not here for that. We're here to please the soul. Okay. Everyone wakes up and evolves in their own way. Even the crustiest of crabs is soft on the inside. We don't know what we don't know. But if you have judgment, you might be holding on to energy that limits your capacity to just allow. Anyways, I hope that this has helped. If you want your own transit reading, I do have that available on my website right now. It's just a little mini one that I do for the major transits or what have you. If you're still here, thanks for tuning in, and I'm sending you so much love, and take care.